Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Sunday Live done on Tuesday. Yes, this is a special Tuesday edition of our Sunday Live. Welcome everyone to the live stream. Those of you that are watching now, that are joining us, as well as those of you that are tuning in later, whether it's through podcasting in audio format or on YouTube, on Rumble, on Facebook, or any other platform, Spotify, wherever you are, welcome. We rescheduled our Sunday Live to today for a number of reasons. I'll get into that in just a few moments, but do me a favor, click that like button and subscribe if you like these broadcasts. If you're new to this channel and you're like, I got to figure out this De Jesus guy. Is that even his real name anyways? It's interesting. People do ask me that question and wonder, is that really his last name? Yes, it is. And it does mean of Jesus. It's quite a name to live with, but I do my best. So my name does mean, the mark of Jesus. So yeah. But anyways, it's good to have you all here. I'm all about mental, emotional, and relationship health. And I pray that in all things that through our broadcasts, that you are welcomed into experiencing the love of the Father, the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, and the truth that sets us free. And I pray in all things that the insights that are provided, the encouragement that is given will help you along your journey, because it is my prayer and my desire that God will bring people across my path who can benefit from the things I have learned, the things that I have discovered. A lot of it has been learned the hard way, but that's okay, because out of that, great grace can come to you in your journey. And I pray that you'll take it and you'll share it with others and take it to the next level. And I'm looking forward to addressing a bunch of questions today and getting into a number of areas, from obsessive compulsiveness to anxiety to relationship OCD to perfectionism to dealing with spinny thoughts and dealing with intrusive thoughts and struggling with your mood, struggling with connecting to God, struggling with wondering where you stand with God, all kinds of things like that. Look forward to addressing that. I also want to let you know, by the way, if you don't follow me on Facebook, you can go ahead and do that. I post from time to time in there. And due to recent events and the national trauma that I talked about, so to speak, with the assassination of Charlie Kirk and many things that were coming out of it, how the church was handling, how they were not handling it, I spoke at length about that. And as a result, a journalist asked to bring some questions to me. She was writing an article on the subject, on the topic. So I decided to go ahead and answer the questions that she had, and she put together an article. So if you go to my Facebook, you can check that out. I did link there if you'd like to read on that. So it was great to be able to share, and I think she did a great job in the article. So anyways, if you're interested in that, you can dive into that as well. And do me a favor, if you watch this broadcast and you say, man, I got a question that I want to ask Mark, the first thing I want to encourage you to do is go to my website, markdejesus.com, and go to my topics page. I'm doing my best to organize all my teachings that I put out in an organization by topic. And in fact, I have a relationship OCD, and it slipped my mind. I was going to actually put it up on screen for you so you could see it, but there's a relationship OCD section there. And I'm going to be teaching in the Healing and Freedom community on the myth of the perfect one. As many of you know, I have a Healing and Freedom community I've developed where you have access to my library of courses. These are targeted training courses on certain topics. Some of them might be on biblical topics, but might be also on mental health, a lot of mental health, emotional health kind of topics. And then I also do weekly coaching Zoom calls on that, where people can join in and get some more personalized interaction, and as well as forum interaction. And I'm going to be teaching on, because that's what I do when I come out with a book, I often will teach on the book. And it gives me an opportunity to expand a bit on it. So mid-October, I'm going to be launching that. I'll be putting out stuff in weekly scheduling, and some of it will be pre-recorded, put up there. Some of them will be live where you can actually join in on those. Again, that's for the Healing and Freedom community. It is an investment. It's a monthly subscription. You can cancel at any time. And those who often join, some will join and they just go, this is my kind of thing. I just want to be here. I love the resources. I love what I'm able to have access to. Other people do it for a season. That's fine too. And anyway, I wanted to let you all know, because on the Relationship OCD page, now this is my public topic page, Relationship OCD. I took 7 lives, and they were just kind of named 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We went in and we categorized them in the titles more specifically. So I want to encourage you to check that out. You can go to markdejesus.com/relationship OCD, and you can find that. Again, I was gonna put it up here in my my live streaming software, and it slipped my mind. And so anyways, you can go ahead and do that. And because many of the questions based on that, I have addressed over and over again. I'll get to some of those here today. Of course, the questions cover a lot of different areas: salvation, being misunderstood, fear of success, believing in God's existence, some tricky questions, and connecting to God and hearing from God and those kind of things. Look forward to getting into that as well. Also, we plan on being back Sunday live this Sunday, same time, 3 p.m. Eastern, and I will plan on teaching on 1 John. So I will have that, and I'll also dive into your questions as well. Looking forward to that. So you're going to get kind of a good dosage here of some Q&A format, some interaction. Many of you are here in the feed, even though it's a weekday. I know many people here in Eastern time, you're still at work, as well as across the United States, but some people in Europe may be already out of work, and some might be getting close to bedtime. So welcome wherever you are on planet Earth. I want to share a little bit with you about what took place for me last week. I was away. I'm going to tell you a little bit about that. But before I do, ladies and gentlemen, would you welcome the sister from another mister? She is the love of my life, all that I cling to. She means more than this world to me. And that's not codependency talking. Melissa DeJesus is here, and she is in the house.
Hey, boo.
Welcome, my love.
Hello. I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, it's good to have you here.
We got acting weird.
Can you hear yourself okay?
Yeah.
We got a lot going on.
Yeah, we do.
We
barely made it.
having two teenagers.
Yeah, I just got home from grabbing Abby.
Having 2 teenagers is I don't think in our parenting we have had to utilize as much energy, time, and focus and investment as we have now.
Correct.
On our home, on discussions, on dealing with stuff, on
correct,
just a little bit of everything.
Right. I was saying to you this morning, I'm like, I don't know that our kids will ever fully understand the stuff that we do for them.
No.
To make sure that they have everything they need. Just the little things. They'll just never get it.
Well, I think they won't understand. They may understand when they're older, but they'll maybe not understand how much our generation has had to work at giving out of what we necessarily weren't given.
Right.
We had to like really learn as we're going.
Right.
At each stage of this.
Yeah. Like this morning, poor Abby, I did feel bad because her and I both forgot. And it's like school pictures, right?
Well, we got the dates mixed up.
We got the
yes.
Don't ask me, everybody. I thought tomorrow was September 30th. Anyway, whatever. Or what's today? What is today?
Today's the 30th.
Okay.
Yeah. We thought.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I thought that was tomorrow. I thought pictures was tomorrow. So she goes to school in a ponytail and just kind of like whatever. So she calls me like a half an hour, not even a half an hour after she gets there. Mom, can you come get me?
Yeah.
So I go get her. We let her come home, do her hair.
Yep.
Mark takes her back while I go take Max to art.
Yep.
Anyway, those of you that are parents, you get it.
Yes. God bless you all.
Yes.
So last week, we had to do some juggling around because I came in late Saturday night. And
you did, and you were pooped. You were tired.
I was exhausted, and so we just I thought in my mind, oh, I can get back and we can do a live, and my brain wasn't working. I was pretty tired, and I could fall asleep standing up almost.
You know, on Sunday, you were like, okay, I need to rest. So you were sitting on the reclining chair, and I'm talking to Abby to the left of you. And I'm standing between you two, and I was talking to you. I turned to talk to her for maybe 10 seconds. Next thing, you're snoring.
Yeah.
And Abby and I start dying, and I'm like, oh my gosh, she's really just fell asleep that fast.
Yeah.
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 We were tired.
Yeah. That if I fall asleep that quickly, it's exhaustion level.
Well, you had quite the experience, so I think that you should share about it.
Yeah. Yeah. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I was invited to do a wedding. Now, normally,
Yes, we have to preface this.
I have to preface this that I don't do weddings anymore. And I think the last wedding I did was
Miss Lynn, who's in the mod.
Lynn and her husband.
Her husband, Janata.
Janata. And what was that? I'm losing time. Where am I?
Where did we, Lenny, 3 years ago?
3 years ago?
And let me just say, as we go into the story, that we all had COVID. Okay, COVID.
Yep.
Mark was just getting over COVID, and then me and the kids got COVID, and I could not go to the wedding, which was devastating for me. Lenny, I'm still not over it.
Yep.
Anyway, go ahead.
Yes, and we had to juggle so many things, and I barely got there. Like I made it through, but when I got up to talk, I don't even know if I shared this with Janata and Lynn, but my leg wouldn't stop shaking.
You were shaking,
You know, just like I just was
from being sick.
Oh my goodness, it was just still having like a little bit of it was either fever or something. I'm like, but anyways, it was a great experience. Love that I was able to be there. So
wait, can I just say first before you talk about that? So Mark had decided, yes, because you can share about the couple, that he wanted to do this, and so I was supposed to go with him.
Yep.
So Abby starts school. We have this date planned, and then lo and behold, Abby gets picked. No. I'm sorry. You have other details to share, but we had to switch stuff around because Abby got nominated for the homecoming court.
I was going to get to it.
Okay, go ahead. All right, sorry.
No, you're good.
Okay, yeah, because I can't share. Okay, go ahead. You share.
Go
ahead.
So I have to say this. I don't do weddings because I get a lot of requests to do weddings.
Yeah, you do.
And just because of the time that's needed, the investment, I just can't do it and focus of my work. In fact, I had to say no to somebody very near and dear this week to do their wedding. Obviously, with my book, The Myth of the Perfect One, a lot of people are getting married, sending me pictures, engagement, and stuff like that.
And I don't mean to interrupt you, but I might interrupt you a couple times. If you've seen Mark do a wedding, ever, Lenny can attest to this, it's like nothing you've ever seen.
Well, I bring a very, very personal touch that I don't see in weddings done. I really work at the wording and how I speak over the couple, to the couple, but also I kind of trick those who are there because I also speak to them and their marriages and their journey. And so it becomes this whole thing where everybody's in on this. So anyways, let me go back. So there's a young lady who I'd been working with for about 3 years, and have been working through ROCD stuff, working through it. Very, very intense battle. Just struggled with it for a long time. It's kind of a miracle story of how our paths crossed, and she shared some of that story with people when I was out there. So I said, all right, guys, I got to know her fiance. I said, you know what? All right, let's do some work together. So I did some work with them together. We scheduled for September for me to do the wedding, early September. Well, they live out near Hunt, Texas. And in fact, well, no, they don't live there. They have a family place that they all go to for vacations or special occasions, where there's a property that they have there that they go to. They do host events and they have family gatherings there. Well, I think it was July, whenever it happened, July 3rd, it was around the July 4th holiday. It was either July 3rd or 4th, where in the middle of the night, a massive flood hit that region. Hunt, Texas. You can look it up. Some people recognize like Kerr County over there in that area. And they messaged me the emergency that took place because they were there. And so
they were on the river.
They were about in timing it afterwards, they were about 4 to 8 minutes from being completely carried away by this storm. And what a lot of people don't understand is this was, whatever flash flood is, this is like an epic level higher than that. Yeah. It was like a tsunami kind of swell of water that hit. And so they, fortunately, and thank God.
The story of them even getting out is just a miracle.
Her brother happened to be up. I think it was about 3 a.m. He was still up. They'd had a big get together that day. They were up late. And so he was still awake. The rain was coming down heavy. He was checking some things. The cell connection at the time, the cell connection was terrible, but they have Wi-Fi in the building. So he was checking and looked out and realized, oh, this is getting bad. We got to get out of here. If he did not warn them, they would have been like many in that river. We know of the Mystic Camp, what happened with the camp of little children that were there. Homes were literally picked up and shot. Trees by the thousands were taken up out of the ground and shot at like 60 miles an hour down this river. It was, and I got to visit. So anyways, the reason I'm bringing this up is the first day I got there, we had a little rehearsal walkthrough, and then they took me and drove me. And her father, I sat in the front seat while he kind of gave me a tour through town and showed me what the town had went through, all the devastation, where you would see, your eyes could see for like hundreds and hundreds of yards. And they would say over and over again, no, you wouldn't be able to see that. This was all trees, and all the trees got wiped out. So we got to the place where, right at the bank of the river, and I'm looking at what trees were still remaining. And you could see I'm estimating about 20 feet up the tree was no branches. And you could see the mud of the water, like this kind of mud stain on the trees, where I'm talking in some spots 15 to 20 feet over my head, the water had come through. This was massive. So I say this to say, they're texting me. We barely got out. Please pray for us. We scheduled a meeting. And so,
isn't it an important point too that she grew up going to Camp Mystic?
Yes.
And was a camp counselor there, correct?
Yes.
Yes. So she has a huge tie, family, houses, generations of things, obviously knowing all the people to understand the impact of how they're connected to all of this here. It's very important.
And this property had been in the family since her grandfather, I believe. Her grandfather had built some buildings here that they kept it in the family, and they would go and visit there. They're all mostly from Houston, but they would come down here all the time for breaks, for vacation or things like that. Yes, and she went to the Mystic Camp as a little girl and grew up going there all the time. Knew the owners, the leaders, they even served there. So everyone there who was affected was connected to so many other people whose lives were lost, some people who barely got out of there. But there were entire buildings, entire structures just absolutely taken out. If the structure did remain, they were soaked from top to bottom, and furniture, everything inside the buildings would get totally washed out. So just imagine coming to your home and there's just nothing there. And whatever's left behind is completely soaked, completely ruined. Meanwhile, so many people's lives devastated. So we were doing ROCD work, marriage prep work, and started to move into trauma work now, because this was a significant trauma on them, because they were highly aware of how close they came to this thing absolutely wiping them out. And on top of that, we had a wedding coming up at the beginning of September. And so they're trying to figure out what to do, and they're processing their own pain and things like that. So they ended up moving the dates. And we had planned on you and Abby were going to come with me.
Yes, we were.
And moved the date. We agreed to it. Yes, it was going to be September 26th. Then all of a sudden, Abby's school.
The very day. the very day.
Tells us that we're having, Abby was nominated for homecoming.
Right. And I'm like.
And that's the day where I, as her father, would walk her on the field at the very exact same time. So you and I are like, wow, this is quite a scenario. So we ended up deciding, okay, Melissa,
I would stay back because this is a very new experience for Abby. Abby, just putting her back in school. This isn't, she's something special to be honored for homecoming court, whatever.
Yep.
So, okay, Mark's going to go do this wedding and I'm going to miss another wedding.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, that aches our hearts because we love doing things together. We love, anytime we travel, we like to do it together. That's how we roll. But this kind of thing just.
Yeah. And then the day before Mark leaves, the school decides they need to change the date.
Yeah.
So it was too late for me to get ready to go. But I'm like, of course they did change the date.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead, babe.
So anyway, long story short, I'm there at the place at the shore. Now fast forward to that last Thursday. And what they wanted to do was just a couple family members and 2 neighbors that had come over, and they wanted me to be there. And as soon as I stepped ground and they started playing some worship music, they said, we just want to pray and we just want to worship God at this spot. I was first of all blown away by how much took place and I was overwhelmed emotionally with how much devastation took place. I'm standing where, in my estimation, and again, this is just me visiting, but looking at like 20 feet of water over my head, coming through. It's just incomprehensible. But the second thing that struck me, and I said it to everybody there, I'm amazed at how all of you're plugged into the faithfulness and goodness of God right now. That your worship and your prayers and what's taking place here is encouraging and exhorting to me. Because in these kind of things, people get angry. It's understandable. It's grief. It's messy. But to see the tenacity, God, you are good. God, you're going to help us through this. We don't understand everything, but you are faithful and you are good. So I'm there crying myself. And anyway, it was an incredible time of conversation, of bonding throughout the evening. So the wedding ceremony became a great opportunity because I got to speak over both of them in a Mark de Jesus style. It's the best way I can explain it. And I have my format, and there's certain things and vows and stuff like that. But I really believe that when people minister weddings, especially if you have a relationship with the couple, and I'm a big believer that when you marry them, have a relationship with them, right? So you have the ability to speak over their lives, give them a charge, give them things that they're going to remember, speak from the heart, speak to their identity, speak to their, the approval of God, his work over their life, those things, right? But there was also a mixture of the grief because pretty much everyone there had some kind of connection somehow to what took place. So even, in the wedding ceremony, I asked for us all to have a moment of silence, to just pause and reflect on those who were grieving, which some people might go, oh, it's a wedding, is it? And I felt like it was such a great example of how life works, because in life you have celebration, but you also have grief. You have a mixture of emotions. And so it was just a phenomenal time, a phenomenal experience. And I got to meet like an OG country artist too, by the way. And I'm not a country music person. And when I say I'm country music, many people think like, Blake Shelton, Carrie Underwood, or something like that. I mean, there's a divide of like
who's legit
Nashville country and Texas country. Okay,
I can see that.
Yeah. So they had Gary P. Nunn. I think I'm saying his name right. A play. He has written music for Willie Nelson and people like that. And he was great. He played the reception. It was very meaningful to the family. And I got to talk to him he was in one of the buildings. I was just looking for a place to put my stuff. And I happened to bump into him, and I didn't want to bother him. He's sitting there warming up, playing his guitar. And he came over to me and started chatting it up with me. The guy is late in his years, 89. Is he 89? I think he is.
I can't remember what you said.
89.
Still got it going on.
Played for 90 minutes at least. And I think he said, I'm only going to do 90 minutes. I'm like, only?
He's quite the resume.
Quite the resume. Extremely down to earth. No air of like superstardom or whatever.
He's like, I'm too old for this. Okay.
Yes. So, but anyway, spent the rest of the night just meeting people and talking to people. A lot of people were blessed and touched, and it was just great. It was a God thing. I was glad to do it. Again, I say no to weddings.
Right, but because
I get invitations all the time.
I know it probably doesn't help that I'm like no, Mark does weddings, or when he did do weddings, I should say in past tense, they're amazing. I actually, and I've shared this story before on the podcast, Mark married friends of ours at our old church before him and I got married. So I got to see how he did weddings, and then we had our wedding.
Right.
And I was like depressed.
Right. I understand.
Because you would have thought the pastor who married us would have made it personal since he knew you since you were young, and he didn't, but that's another story. But like how personal you made it was just so amazing. It's just, I'm so proud of you. Anyway.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I think throughout all these things, your connection with me, your encouragement, and because we had so many things going on, travel, our daughter, Max is going through a lot of stuff right now that he's trying to navigate through. We're trying to help him.
Our bub.
And his thoughts, emotions. It seems more intensified in this time. A lot of highly emotional things going on, and in the past 3 to 4 weeks. And so I'm just so grateful for what we've cultivated. I'm so grateful for, our connection and how we navigate things. And so anyways, it was a great experience.
Yes. And everything you shared, I was so sad that I missed it. However, just so proud of you. So yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was a long,
that's all right. So to the couple, I look forward to one day meeting you in person. So yes.
From what I heard, it'll happen. So
excellent.
It's great. It's great. And we'll have to say one more thing.
And
on my way out, I was able to meet the one, the only.
Oh, yes.
John Apiccinati.
So if you guys follow Mark on Facebook, you can see that they got to connect and meet.
Yeah. We had some good Spanish food and got a chance to talk as I was on my way to the airport. And he lives right over there in that area near the airport, which was great. So I was able to connect through a shot of, hey, will this work? And threw it out there, and we made it work. So
I'm so glad.
So that was really great too. Got a little bit of this was actually my first time technically in Texas. I mean, I've transferred flights in Texas,
right? But like being there,
San Antonio. So I saw a lot of the Kerrville area, and it was.
And we're not moving there. We've always wondered about Texas, and Mark's like,
I don't know that I'm going to move there. No, but I like visiting, and I would definitely visit again. And
nice.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So, anyway,
you want to just get to questions?
Well, do you want to greet the chat?
I can just say hello quickly.
Them?
Sure.
Yeah, I could use a drink of water. So go ahead and give a greeting to everyone.
Okay. Shoulder shake. Okay. Hello, Rumble. Hello, Courtney Laws. Welcome. And Psychology Backwards. I won't make that mistake again because I did last time. Welcome. Facebook. John's on Facebook. Yay! We have to say his name again. John Apiccinati. We love you, John. Okay. So let me go over to the YouTuber. Now, I'm not going to get everybody because I don't know what I had to refresh. So it only lets me go halfway up. Okay. Hi, Olivia. Obadiah. Hello, Lynn. Solve. Welcome. Ashley. Hello. Peace Cat. We are all having a good day. Thank you. Mike P. Luke. Berganza. Hello. There's Linny. Solve. I think I said that already. Okay. Joshua. John Michael Williams. Wow, that's a name. That's a lot of first names for your name, sir, but I like it. Rebecca. Hello. Joshua. Sorry, you were taking a drink. Hi, Ellie, Velma, Daniela, Seaman, Nader, hello, KJ, Eric, hello, EC, Time Walker, hey, Craig. Let's go down here. Hi, Abide in the One. Hello. Hi, Glenn from Connecticut. We don't miss Connecticut. Sorry. Miss Hibiscus. Hello, Lusanda. Hi, Jacob. Seth. I know we don't. It's getting chilly there, okay? Alan. Timmy. Hi, Timmy. Narnian. Hello, sir. Jewel. Polly. Shosha. Julie, hello. Salty Bible Cracker. Okay, I'm going to go all the way to the bottom. Hi, Regina, Ben, Diane. I think I said Diane already. Charmaine, Kidron, Sarah, Edmund, Lindsay, Nishan, Moser, Roshan, D Balloons, hello. Marion. Okay. I think that's it.
All right.
I mean, it's not it, but listen, welcome. And we're glad to have you with us. And if I didn't greet you, I'm sorry.
I was waiting for your catchphrase. You say, if I missed you, sorry.
Oh my gosh, that's right. If I missed you, I'm sorry I missed you, and welcome.
Yeah.
I know. I am like off today.
I
just
hear
blame
you.
it on the menopause, okay?
I hear you.
It's menopause
I hear
brain.
You know that
What, boo?
that screen name, the
Which one?
psychology
Oh,
backwards. You go. Yeah, that would really.
Why? Because I think I said why Golo or something, and then I think either they told me or then I was like, seriously, okay, that makes me look dippy, but whatever.
That's all right. It's all good in the hood. So
Yes.
everyone, if you have a question, you can post it as a super chat, or you can go over to markdejesus.com/questions, and you can use the form there. But do me a favor and do some searching before you submit questions, because there are many questions that come in that are things I've covered, and sometimes it's like a big dump of, it's not really asking a question, it's just kind of a big dump of things, which I get it. You know, sometimes we're overwhelmed, we're going through a lot of things. So, but I gotta, what I do a lot in my work is like a traffic cop that is out in the street, like slowing down traffic to get you into the slow lane. That's a lot of what I'm doing in my work with people, because we come in, we crash land, we're having a burnout, we feel like we're having a mental health crisis. We're and understandable. We got things that are inflamed really intensely. And so my aim is to help slow things down and buckle you up for the journey, because we often want a quick fix. We want a quick 3 steps, just answer this question, move on. But it's not just about answering the question. It's about plugging you into the bigger journey, the healing and freedom journey that's needed. And if you can recognize that, it will lean you into more compassion, more grace about what you're working through, what you're going through, because we're all on a journey and we're learning along the way. So just want to make mention of that. So this first question, it was an email that came in, and I said, you know what, let me, wrote the person back and said, I'd like to address this, submit it as a question. So anyways, I'll get right into it. He says, I want to thank you for your book, God Loves Me and I Love Myself. It's been a huge help to me in my journey. A current book I'm working on is Unwanted by Jay Stringer. Yes, I have. I don't think I finished the book, but I've read through a lot of it. And he does get to more of a root heart issue about sexual battles and sexual struggles. Again, the name is Unwanted by Jay Stringer. It has helped answer some questions that I have about events that happened when I was a child. My question is about God hearing me. You have so many videos, so much content, that it's hard to find things I am looking for. So let me just address that up front, because a lot of people come to the site and they're just digging for their topic. And the reason I have so many videos is because I'm taking a journey. I will be spending the rest of my life taking a journey and talking about the ways of mental, emotional, and relationship health, providing insights. So that's who I'm targeting more, is people who want to be with me on a journey. Now, if you find one video and it helps you, great. But for many of our battles, there's layers, there's complexities to it, there's nuance, there's different facets of what's going on. And so even if you find a video that I cover your current topic, there's a journey we need to get plugged into. So just to let you know, my goal is not to create a video to cover every little microscopic topic that's out there. But I understand that. So anyways, if you've addressed it, I was hoping you could help guide me. It's about praying and God hear me and me hearing God, which a lot of that you would find in the Father's Love section of my material. And then there's mental health, reading the Bible for mental health. There's prayer, stuff about prayer that's there too. You just may have to kind of go through some topics, because prayer overlaps our whole journey. So keep that in mind. When I pray, it feels like I just talk to a wall, like there's nothing there. I try to be the leader of my house, but it seems I'm leading us into a desert of nothing. We, my family and I, are going through some hard times, and I try to pray and ask for some guidance. I know that God speaks to us through his word. I try to read it, but find myself struggling to understand it. Then that just fuels a level of depression. Then I find myself just wasting time doing nothing, almost like I'm paralyzed. We left 2 churches in the past year for various reasons, sold our house, and moved into a camper due to financial reasons. I have an older truck, and the motor blew on it. And I just ask God for help as we navigate these waters. I feel as though he isn't there to listen. That is something I am working through as well. Due to growing up, my dad, now listen to this statement because I want to pause here. Growing up, my dad would say, you need to figure it out on your own. I didn't have my dad. So this brings a crucial insight into what you're struggling with. Sorry for the ramble dump. How do I know that God is listening or even cares? What happened to Charlie Kirk and everyone what happened to Charlie Kirk and everyone uses that to be like, this life isn't about you, or God is doing something great because of Charlie. That me asking about my struggles in life makes me feel like I'm wasting his time. In other words, God's time. And he has bigger fish to fry. Oh, he's wasting money rebuilding his truck, so just don't do it. I'm just asking for guidance on physical things, spiritual things, finding a group of Christians we can praise and worship, and mental health, as we all have struggles. Okay, so brother, what I want to share with you is actually so many men are battling with what you are talking about. What you are talking about is the result of a lack of fathering, of not being fathered. This is why that is a foundational aspect of everything I teach and everything I talk about, and spent years and years and years laying down important teachings and insights to help people to grow in this area. Because what you're sharing with me is the struggle of a man who hasn't been fathered and is someone who has a broken heart. Now, when we think of broken heart, we think of somebody who's walking around crying all the time, looks depressed or maybe disheveled or something like that. We think of that as a broken heart. When we have not been loved the way that God designed us to be loved by our Father and by our earthly mother, by our earthly father and our earthly mother, we are left with a broken heart. Now, many of us don't know that that's what we're manifesting. We become highly performant. We become perfectionistic. We're so busy in trying to get everything right, we don't realize that we actually carry a broken heart. And so this is the foundation of recovery. It's actually foundational in the gospel. And it's one of the areas I push back at in the teaching of the gospel. People out there, you need to bring the gospel, teach the full gospel, or teach the gospel correctly. And sometimes there's a lot of obsessive compulsiveness about each and every word being perfect, well, according to how a person says the gospel needs to be said. Well, I bring a facet of the gospel that Jesus actually brought out, and the announcement of his ministry was based on Isaiah 61. And it was a reflection of what his ministry would be. The Spirit of the Lord God was upon him. He has come to bring good news, glad tidings, depending on the translation, to the poor. I've come to heal the brokenhearted. Now, the people of that time, the Pharisees and the leaders of the day, they're like, we don't have broken hearts. In fact, Jesus' message of healing the broken heart and the Isaiah 61 angered them so much that they said they were plotting to throw him off a cliff. So his message of getting to the heart was angering them because it was triggering at their hearts at what they actually needed. But it was also setting the foundation of what the gospel brings. Most Christians, if you ask them, do you have a broken heart? They say, no, I'm good. Or maybe they think just in accepting Christ, it just solves everything. And just everything just gets fixed and you should be all fine now and not have any issues. Whereas as it is my conviction that healing to the broken heart is woven into the gospel ministry, and it is actually a part of all discipleship that we should be doing. And many of us are striving, not recognizing we carry a broken heart, because a broken heart stems from where love should have been there but wasn't. And what God does is he brings his perfect love, which casts out fear, to complete us. Because even if you have good enough parents, because that's what we were designed to be raised by good enough parents. Not perfect. They're flawed. No one's sinless. So, but good enough parenting to be a springboard to help you to hear from God, to connect to God in a fruitful way, because God shows himself through visible relationships. So if you say, God, show yourself to me, you won't see a person walk into the room, and many people get discouraged. You may or may not hear a thought or a voice. For most, they don't relate to that happening. But you have a sense of your faith being built up because you have a compass on how to hear the Father and have a sense of his connection and his presence. But when a father does not equip us, our compass for empowerment and direction is broken. It's like not working. So everything you wrote here, brother, is exactly what a man, and we could also say what a woman struggles with too, but let me just speak to the men. You don't feel you have what it takes. You don't feel empowered. And then in everything, you have no idea what you're doing. Most of us, many people are going online to YouTube. I call it YouTube, Dad. We're going online and trying to figure stuff out. So many things we should have been taught, but we're not taught. And now we're husbands. Now we're fathers. And so the crucial statement that was said to you is one of the most destructive things, nothing personal to your dad, but it was one of the most destructive things he could have done in your journey. You need to figure this out on your own. I didn't have my dad. So what he did was he transferred the sin of fatherlessness in the generation. And this is the plague that needs to stop in our lives, is someone in the generations needs to say, I didn't get it, but I'm going to find it so I can give it out to the next generation. I spent years, when I left the church I worked at in East Hartford in 2006, when I left that to begin a whole new ministry journey, I searched and searched and searched for mentors, for teachers, for brothers, for spiritual fathers. I searched and searched and searched and searched. And you know what I found? I found that the people I interacted with didn't even know how to be it. Right. They were in their own spiritual slavery. They were in their own self-consumed thing. They're trying to do their own thing. They couldn't pick up that a spiritual son was walking in front of them if it hit him in the forehead. And they didn't even know what to do with it. And so I remember during that time in my life latching onto this. I can't find it. So why don't I seek to be what I never had? So my entire life, my marriage, my parenting, and my ministry, I am giving out what I never got. I want you to understand that. I want you to understand in my marriage, any blessing that my wife experiences from being married to me that she receives, I had to figure it out. My children, my parenting, I remember when Max was born, he's the firstborn. I looked at him in the crib and I said, God, I have no idea what I'm doing. Help me. Help me. And in my work, in helping people. Do you know that I'll go to people sometimes for help and I end up helping them? Strange phenomenon. Listen, I digress. Let me stay on the point here. My heart aches for you. And what your father said to you was a sinful act. It was wrong. It was absolutely wrong because he didn't equip you and then furthermore went, just figure it out. So that's going to take an empty wound and stick a rusty dagger into it. So I'm not surprised that you're depressed. You struggle with taking a step. You struggle with believing in yourself. And on top of it all, when you pray, you feel like you're wasting God's time. You feel like what you say to God is not even important because that father connection is not there. That father connection is so important. When Jesus prayed, he made this powerful statement, and it's something I give to my kids all the time because I had to learn this because I've experienced that sense of silence over and over and over again in many different layers, in many different ways. But Jesus said this statement. He said, Father, I thank you that when I pray, you hear me. Now, did he have that because of some special kind of thing that took place? We would go, yeah, there is. Well, let's go back to it. The baptism. And when he gets baptized, the Father speaks. And you don't hear the Father speaking in New Testament documentation. You hear Jesus speaking. And even in the scriptures, other epistles and things, you hear the Lord speaking. Like even when Paul talks about the Lord speaking to him about his thorn in the flesh, you hear the Lord speaking to him. You see the Lord coming to John in the book of Revelation. The Father speaking. Very unique. And there's 3 recordings of it. 2 of them, this is my beloved Son, in whom I'm well pleased. It's amazing that when the Father decided to speak, he didn't brag about himself. He didn't brag about his own majesty, even though scripturally and theologically all things lead to the Father. He spoke of his Son. He spoke of his love for him. This is my beloved, dearly loved. He spoke of his identity. This is my Son. And he spoke of his approval over him, in whom I'm well pleased. And that was before Jesus did anything. That's before he healed the sick, before he raised the dead, before you see him cast out demons, before he did anything in his ministry. The Father says, I'm proud of him. To use modern terminology, we don't mean that proud as in like pride. It's a saying, I'm proud. It means there's a sense of approval I have over you. So his foundation of ministry life was based on already being approved. So if Jesus Christ, the sinless Lamb of God, who was not born with iniquity, needed to hear his Father's approval, how much do you and I, broken, born into sin, born with that nature, born with corruption within us, how much more do we need that Father voice in our life? And God implanted that into our earthly fathers for it to be their responsibility. Now, they weren't fathered in it, so they didn't transfer that down. But it's still not allowing room to understand your woundedness. So what it's going to do is it's going to create all double-mindedness and a lack of confidence to take a step. A man who's connected to his Father's love and approval is not obsessed with failure. He just takes a step. He takes a step out there and gets out there. When you mess up, you make a mistake, you learn, you keep moving forward because failure is not the end. Now, when you don't know the Father's love, failure is catastrophic. It's like the absolute debilitating fear that you have of messing up. But when you're connected and rooted to love, being loved by the Father, this is what builds a sense of confidence in your faith to take a step. So where you are, brother, you're in the thick of it because every area of your life is getting hit. Your finances are getting hit. Your sense of fathering, who you are as a provider is getting hit. Your sense of direction, your sense of God speaking. Now, when we're in this state, we get in desperation. So then we expect God to meet us in desperation. So what I've learned is I have to get out of desperation mode because then that makes me go, God, I need to hear you right now. I need you to speak. I need you to do something, right? And what I actually need in that moment is need nurture. And that's actually the heart of why I wrote the book, God Loves Me and I Love Myself, which I'm so glad you're in it. And I want to encourage you to read it again. But it's also why I wrote the book, Exposing the Rejection Mindset. Because wherever we don't know or lack a connection to the love of the Father, a rejection mindset's going to come in. Because a rejection mindset creates a sense of separation, of disconnection to God, to ourselves, to others. It gets into that place. So then we feel we have to perform for God, or we're just like, forget it, don't bother. So where do you all land in your journey? Perform, do to try to please God, make him happy, stress out? Or do you constantly land in whatever? He doesn't listen. Nothing really happens for me, right? And some of us toggle back and forth between the two of them, right? Where you are right now, and I pray that you hear this, is you're in a place of reparenting. The church hasn't always picked up on this, but recovery groups have. Because when they saw the addicts and saw whether it's the drug addicts or the alcoholics, or they saw the children of alcoholics, because the ACA material often covers that. They saw it. And that's why many of their techniques have been so helpful for people. Now, this is in the Bible, because when I became born again, I got a new father, so I have to be reparented. But if I have no idea what a father is, it's like talking Chinese, not Chinese, Chinese isn't a language, Mandarin or Cantonese, right? You talk to me and I'm not going to know one single word that you say. So we come into the kingdom, Jesus brings us born again, and I have a new father, but I don't even know what a father is. So we have to start with learning, what does it mean to connect to a loving father? What does it mean to connect to the confidence that he's with me? Because in your steps, if you got to repair your truck, repair your truck. If you don't know how to repair it and you get a mechanic to do it for you, fine. If you can't afford the mechanic and you got to do it yourself and you have to go on YouTube and figure out this and figure out that, that's part of reparenting, is you're learning what you didn't learn, so that then you can pass down to your children what you didn't learn, but you figured out in the journey, which actually makes for powerful parenting. But Jesus said, we must be born again. He didn't say you must be made new. Now we are made new, but Jesus said, no, you got to go back to being born. You got to go back to being a baby. You got to go back to being a toddler. You got to go back to being loved. This is a component. I don't know that the church has really understood this. And I think we need to. When someone receives Christ, do we see them in that? Like, we need to root them in love. We need to equip them. No, what we tell them is serve, give, get into this program, do this, do, go, build the machine, big. Our church is growing big, get in the mix. Where is that fatherly love being rooted in us, of learning that, of interacting with brothers and sisters that reflect that love? And so at my deepest, darkest moments, I had to learn reparenting. Now, a key place of reparenting is how you relate to yourself. So in these moments where you feel there's a disconnect to God, you're also turning on yourself. And when we're disconnected to love, when we've been traumatized, when we've been neglected, and you have severe neglect, we turn on ourselves. So when you go into a place where I won't bother, my life doesn't matter, that's also you turning on yourself. And that's what birthed the topic of the book, God Loves Me, and I Love Myself. And many people can misunderstand self-love from a Christian standpoint or even a healthy standpoint. It's very misunderstood. So I've done my best to create as much material as I can to help teach on it, what it is and what it's not. But what I want you to begin practicing is, number one, when you pray and you don't feel that connection, I want you to tell yourself, it's okay. I'm going to pray anyway. I'm going to pray anyway, because my compass is off. Because I'm going to tell you something, brother, God's right there, but our receptors are brokenhearted. I think many of us, when we get to heaven one day, are going to look back and go, oh my, God was nearer than ever to me in that time, and I didn't know it. Remember when Jacob in the Old Testament, he was like, that whole like stairwell to heaven, the angels ascending and descending. And I forgive me, I don't remember the exact words, but he's like, it's incredible that heaven was here and I didn't know it, right? So I want to encourage you, when you pray and you don't feel it, it's okay. I'm going to keep praying anyways. Now you're going to actually start building your faith. And what I want you to do is I want you to start affirming yourself with loving statements. I want you to start going, you know what? I'm doing my best as a dad right now. I'm up to my ears in battlegrounds. I have what it takes today. I have what it takes. And God, I'm just trusting that you're there. I feel nothing, but I'm not going to feed the disconnection. It's important. You may feel disconnection. Don't feed it, because we're building our faith. And many of us think our faith needs to get our feelings all lined up. We need to feel something. A wind blows into the room. A special message is sent our way, or we hear something in our thoughts that confirms it. And quite often that gets way too overrated, and it doesn't bring out the simplicity of just walking it each day. That God, whether I hear you or not, I've got your word. I'm just trusting your spirit's with me. And if I'm doing something that could be course corrected, I'm open to it, but I'm not going to listen to condemnation and accusation, all the guilt and shame. And so that's a big part of the reparenting journey, and that God loves me, I love myself speaks to. And even in the heart healing journey in the middle, there's 3 chapters in there about what love looks like that I go further into what this recovery looks like. Because I had to look at myself in the mirror and go, okay, this is the cards I've been dealt with. There is so much I've not been given. I am ill-equipped. In fact, I even went to the extent of recognizing I'm emotionally immature. I don't know how to handle some basic things in life. So I'm not going to shame myself. However, I'm going to develop a new relationship with Mark. I'm going to be loving towards myself as God is towards me. I'm going to be an encourager to myself, not an enemy to myself. And I'm going to let myself learn along the way. At every step, I've had to learn along the way. Everything I'm doing, it wasn't taught. Even what I'm doing here, from sound to video to camera to lighting to live streaming, everything was something I had to learn. But it's very challenging if I keep beating myself up and keep sabotaging, because when we're disconnected to love, we self-sabotage all the time. We don't take steps. And so this is coming out of your broken heart. What your dad said to you was wrong. And what I encourage you in is don't repeat that statement to your children. It's okay that you tell them, you know what? I've had to learn a lot. I didn't know what I was doing, but be loving towards them. In this season where you could get lost in self-pity and self-loathing, love your family right now. Love them more than ever before. Love them with the love that you weren't given. And somehow God meets us in that and fills our tank in it. But I wanted to take some time because your message hit home for me, and it was I wanted to bring that exhortation to you and many others who could benefit from this as well. So with that in mind, I want to take a break, and I'll be back in just a few moments. All right, I think I'm going to get into some more here. I don't know if that'll be able to go
Hold up a second.
as long as I did on
up.
those, but yes, my dear.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like after that, we need to Selah, because what you just put out there, and we have so many people commenting as well, it's just so good. And you and I have these conversations all the time about reparenting and, like, you know, what we didn't get and figuring all that out. Every time we talk about it, though, and like you just bringing that out, it hits me and washes over me again on not only what I need to work on, but also taking my peace in it too.
Yeah.
because it's just so rich. Everything you just brought out is, and even while you're talking to him, like, okay, I need to cut that, like do a clip on all of that because it's just so good.
Yeah. Yeah. And
It's so good.
Well, I want to be very honest about my whole life has been a life of learning. And I didn't have just, teacher, mentor, just gathered around me, all these things. And in fact, it was more discouraging because when I, not to bring up specific situations, but people I've gone to, I ended up helping them. And I was like, wait, I came to get help from you.
Right. Well, as you were talking and saying that, I'm like, okay, if people only knew.
So I look at everything in our life, from even buying a house, even maintaining the house, like everything, when a lawnmower breaks, all these things that I go, okay, God help. It's being kind to yourself, but then also not having shame to take a step and to learn, or to ask someone, or to realize, hey, I'm on this journey and I'm figuring it out. And
that's such a good point too. Is and I've been with you for all these years, so I've watched you work through, breaking down areas of pride and falling into the humility of it, and saying, I need, where you were just saying, like, I need help in this area. When you became a husband, and then you became a father, and we even moving, it's just all the things that I don't mean to reiterate it all, but where you had to humble yourself and go, okay, I don't know what I'm doing in this area, and I need to figure it out. And searching for answers and reading and becoming a student of things, and then hitting a lot of brick walls.
That's right.
But keep going.
Yes. To keep moving. Keep moving.
Because we need more voices. We need more men. We need more godly men. We need more fathers. We need more mature men who have gone through some stuff and stayed in the game.
Yeah, just stay in the game. Just stay in the game and grow.
Yes.
Yep. Oof. I have 2 teenagers right now, and every day I'm going, God help me. I'm not necessarily waiting for that unction or that feeling to come. I've learned to just let faith just have its work. And what I mean by that is this: I ask him for help, and then I take a step believing he'll be with me. And whether it works out or it doesn't, I keep coming back and keep learning, keep growing.
Yeah.
And, even Max at his stage of like trying to teach him things with his struggles and with his mindset, you feel like you're striking out constantly.
You do, yeah.
And then you just go, all right, let's try again. Because what is love? Love is patient.
Right.
All right. So I know that. I'm going to be patient with myself first. So if I'm patient with myself, then I'll be less prone to being impatient with him. Right? If I'm kind to myself, I'll be less prone to being unkind to him. And so that's why for men, there's this self thing that we have to work on, where our self-hatred comes out to our family because we're so irritated about where we are and what's not working. We hate our situation.
Such a good point.
So that self-hatred comes out. So Paul says a man who loves his wife loves himself. It's like interesting how when you're living in that realm of love and that flow, now it's easier to love your wife, right? Not because your wife is acting lovable in that moment. Now you are very lovable, but you know what I'm saying? We think of it like
sometimes I'm not.
Well, we think that's when love is most powerful,
right,
is when there's battles and there's stuff. But if I'm living from that, where I'm cultivating within, so that's why I always feel okay. I can at least be loving towards myself right now.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do next. God help me. And then this is what I try to always focus on. What can I do? What can I do? Because I have a tendency, like many watching, you're focused on what you can't do. Maybe you have a sickness or a physical ailment, or maybe your mental health battleground, like it debilitates you in a lot of ways. Maybe you could barely get out of bed. It's like, well, what can I do right now? Right? And so it keeps movement, not like driven, hyper speed, go, go, go movement. It just keeps movement because the procrastination, then we kind of like sulk in it, and then the swamp waters rise, and then the swamp waters are smelly, and it just it becomes debilitating. Yeah. So it's
just needed, and anyway, I'm just in these moments. I mean, I get to see you, who you are all the time, but I'm just honored to be your wife when you speak. It's just, what's needed in the culture, what's needed in the church, what's needed in families. And so anyway.
Yeah.
I just felt like we needed to talk about it. Because
I love
it's good.
I love it. Keep up it. Keep the talking happening. I love that.
All right.
I'll
go ahead, Boo.
I'll jump into some more. We'll see how long I'm able to address each one. But I like to talk. I like to share. So this one's about salvation OCD, but it goes into the person spinning out because of questions that they heard about evangelism. What do you think of the Kennedy questions for evangelism? Now, this isn't John F. Kennedy or Robert F. Kennedy. It's a different Kennedy. It's based on a pastor's name was I think I'm saying it right, D. James Kennedy. And it's funny because I have memories of D. James Kennedy. I used to watch when we were getting ready for church on Sunday morning. I'd be sitting out in the living room, and I would turn the TV on, and my parents wouldn't allow me to watch anything that was like non-spiritual. So I would put it on. They would have like church services, and they would have the Hour of Power. Robert Schuller, he's like the positive, speaker kind of person, the power of positive thinking. And D. James Kennedy, his would be on. And D. James Kennedy was interesting because he would talk about like Christians in the political arena. He'd talk a lot about that, what we need to stand for and those kind of things. So it was very interesting because he was like the early stages of encouraging Christians, like there's things we need to stand for in our values and let it influence our voting and what we put forth. So anyways, he has a evangelism explosion, I believe is what it was called. I think it's still around today. I don't know. I'm going back in old history, but this person got the questionnaire. It's used, I believe, for witnessing, like a scale of 1 to 10. I'm going to ask you some questions, and it's used as a way to go, okay, you're not saved. You need to ask the Lord into your life. I think. If I'm wrong, just let me be wrong. It's okay. But anyways, the first question was, on a scale of 1 to 10, how sure are you that you're going to heaven when you die? And this will trigger scrupulosity sufferers right off the bat here and get them into a lot of swirlies. The second question is, if you are standing at the gates of heaven and God asks you why he should let you in.
Wow.
What is your answer? Some of this comes down to, like, I see this with nuance. I understand what they're trying to do, but it also doesn't take into consideration sometimes you're asking people. Sometimes people don't know how to articulate everything too, and put on the spot like, they get stage fright. Give me the theological background to the vicarious atonement and the substitutionary work of Jesus Christ for your life. Go. Jesus? I was taught these at my Southern Baptist University, heard them from a popular pastor at a very large young adults conference. The second question does not cause me anxiety, as I know that Jesus is the only reason I can go to heaven. However, when I first asked to rank my assuredness of heaven, I spun out. Yeah, that's what salvation OCDers do. Yeah, these are triggering questions. And if you have salvation OCD, scrupulosity, you actually need triggering. Triggering is a good thing. We avoid triggers. And it's why I don't do trigger warnings. Now, I'm not going to do my best to not be obnoxious and not do like super inappropriate things or super jarring things, right? Although the church lady does come in.
Do a little, word from the Lord every now and then. I'm about to trigger you down the slip and slide to hell where all of you belong. I'm just saying.
But we do need triggering because those are opportunities to work through our compulsive responses and work through the anxiety, all stuff that I teach on in my materials. So you spun out. Am I a 9 or am I a 10? I questioned myself. I sat there in fear at the conference. We were then told anything less than a 10 is an indication that someone is not saved. It's like,
well, what about a 9 3/4? Did we make it?
Yeah, and now we start getting into those metrics. It's like, oh goodness, we're creating an added burden on people. Because if someone answers a 7 or a 6, maybe they need OCD help. Maybe they need a new way of relating to their doubts. Maybe they need just some discipleship in the righteousness of Christ and what we're standing in by faith. And maybe they need working on their emotions. See, this is the thing. What I'm doing is not just mental health. I actually want to let you all in on a secret. What I'm actually doing is discipleship work. But I'm getting into the nitty gritty of what many people wrestle with and struggle with that gets sequestered off to mental health categories. But really what we're needing is some fruitful discipleship. So anyways, you assigned yourself as a 9, you freaked out. I was asked again this question when I was interviewed to join discipleship groups at my university by our campus pastor. This time I firmly answered 10, but was still left with anxiety over assigning a number to my faith. Yeah, you need OCD work. You need OCD work, and you need a new way in how you relate to your doubts. So I encourage you get the OCD healing journey. I encourage you go to my OCD help page. Many broadcasts that are there that you can find on those battlegrounds and work through that. The problem is not the problem. The problem is not how good will you believe. It's more about getting help and working through your compulsive behavior, because you probably do a lot of things of searching and getting reassurance and all that as well too. So pray that's a help. This one has to do with being misunderstood. And maybe I'll be misunderstood as I'm sharing about being misunderstood. Mark, in one of your podcasts, you mentioned that all your life you've struggled with being misunderstood. Yes, that is true. I want you to know you're not alone. In my life, I've often stated that communication has been the bane of my existence. I've struggled with feeling like everyone else has a different lexicon than me. And then to top it off, that I've learned that in our society, American society, there's an unwritten rule that anything you can say and will be used against you, kind of thing. So I hear what you're saying, but that can create a lot of paranoia. If you're worried about anything you be said being used against you, now you need people that are safe, that you can talk to, that have proven themselves to be safe. Where I struggle with misunderstanding is in sharing something and in teaching. There's a lot of contrarians. Yeah, but what about this? You didn't cover that. Well, yeah, I only had time to cover this. So that would cause me to spin in that I didn't share enough. I didn't, talk enough. And so I've had to really take my piece. I have a little sign that I would put. It used to be up here. I don't have it anymore. And it just simply says, you don't have to cover everything. That was just helpful for me in reminding me of that. But in relationships, I feel like I would have trouble in somebody getting me, because a lot of times when you share with people, they jump in quickly. They don't take time for you to let out what you're trying to explain. And I know we only have so much time in our interactions. We don't have all day to hear your life story. I get that. But that aspect of, I'm not sure you quite understand what I'm going through. I have that a lot. And so I've accepted that and stopped trying to make sure I get someone to understand my story. And take my piece, share it where I can, and I'll answer your question in just a second here. How do you endure such things, let alone process it? How do we bridge the communication barrier when we are often left wondering either if we misunderstood others or if we've learned to communicate the wrong way? Yeah, I go through this all the time. Let me add another layer to it, because I have hearing issues. So I have actually misunderstood scenarios many times simply because I didn't hear or I heard wrong. It's even happened in our family, and talking about something where I'm like a bit off the channel because I heard something the wrong way. So there's had to be an acceptance and humility of like, okay, I didn't hear you. I might have missed it, and if I did, I'm sorry. So it happens to me quite often. Even at the wedding this last week, there was a couple really low talkers. You got music playing, stuff going on, and I go, "Excuse me, can you say that again?" Even to the point where I would lean in like this to listen, right?
That's where you need your wife.
Big time. Because normally what I do is I go, and then she translates, and then I go, oh, yeah. There was this one person. I'm like, man, I just cannot hear her. So I just went, okay. She may have told me, I have $1 million in the backseat of my car. I need to give it to you. Or she told me that, or she told me I'm the worst person on the planet. And I just didn't hear it. And I'm making a joke, but I go through that. And so that's another layer added on top of that, of recognizing weakness and not putting myself down on it because of it. So the good news is most people I was able to hear, but I did have to tune in really hard when the music was playing. Anyway, there's a saying I've heard before, either win the argument or win the person. Yeah, okay. I'm just trying to see I'm trying to understand what you're saying in context. So with that in mind, how do we win the person when it seems that almost by default that it results in fault finding, blame, shame, or us versus them mentality? Okay, let me back this up a little bit. I think our goal should never to be win an argument or win a disagreement. If that's the goal, you're going to get into some unhealthy places. I think that you're kind of talking about conflicting conversations where maybe there's disagreement. How do we bring an end to the war between two factions, or even some of that I'm not understanding, and that's I'm trying to understand about you understanding me, understanding, and you misunderstanding me and misunderstanding you. I think that a big part is, number one, when you misunderstood, or the fear of people misunderstanding. Let me talk about that. Right? I don't know. Did they get it? They catch it? Happens to me all the time. Like even in these broadcasts, sometimes I'll ask my wife, was that all right? Did that come across? Did I make my point? Was I too much this, too much that? Because you just don't know. I'm talking to a screen. There's nobody in this room. I'm used to like people, like a crowd being in the room, and you can at least read body language and kind of go, okay, they're getting this. We're with each other. You know, I'm just talking to a camera and looking at levels here in the screen and my settings. So what I practice is, if people misunderstand me, I accept that. I practice acceptance on a regular basis. Okay, sometimes the fear rises up. Oh yeah, but what if they misunderstand? If they misunderstand me, they misunderstand me. And I let myself feel that emotion without fixing it. Now, if I'm misunderstood and someone brings it to my attention, I'll do my best to go, oh, that's not what I mean. And I may try to bring repair to maybe where there was hurt or misunderstanding. But even then, that may not bring success to understanding. And so I may be in situations where I'm sharing something and I don't feel like people got me or understood where I'm at or what I'm going through. I accept that. I accept, okay, they didn't get me. I may be in a conflict situation and I'm trying to bring help. And I'm like, I don't think they're catching what I'm trying to bring. I accept it. When I accept it, it gives me better understanding of what I should do next. Because many times with conflict, it's like, just let it go. You did what you could, let it go. Because I'd normally go, I got to talk more. I got to share more. I got to go back again. I got to re-explain. But I found it very fruitful to be accepting of my limitations too, even with my hearing, because I miss stuff. I don't hear people. Bless your hearts, but some of you are low talkers, and I'll tell you, I have hearing issues. So can you speak up? And then they speak again at the same level they spoke before. Or some people will go, I said, and I'm like, no, I didn't say you have to yell.
Okay, well, I do that sometimes.
Yes, you'll do that. I go, hon, you don't have to yell. Just. It's like with my mom growing up, because my mom has significant hearing loss. I grew up learning, and maybe that's why I speak so, my voice is very boomy, I guess. Emphatic is because I learned in talking to her, I got to get her eye contact and speak towards, because sometimes when you have hearing issues, you read lips too. It's a part of like how you take in what you're hearing. So anyways, I pray that that's a help for you. Let me do one more, and then we'll see if there's any super chats or anything like that. Hey, Mark, what's the biblical approach to the fear of success? Not sure if you have made a video on this already. Yeah, I have talked about it. I've come across your library of work, so I'll have to look there as well. Thank you, both, and Melissa. You've helped me so much along the way. God bless you both. Well, I'm glad. that we've been able to be a help to you. Fear of success is an interesting thing because a lot of people, when they're working through their journey, they don't really think about it. They more think about fear of failure or fear of the unknown. We're so focused on our limitations, right? Like if you're opening a business, starting a ministry, or if you're moving somewhere, or if you're going in some kind of direction, you think of if I just had this. You don't think about the fears that come about when things actually start working well, in the sense of, like, even in my work, I've had stages where what I teach and what I get gets out there. And there's this feeling of vulnerability. Like, I'm standing there and I just, my heart is out there now, and I'm in a vulnerable place. I'm vulnerable to like criticism of people saying I'm teaching wrong, or I'm false teaching, or whatever, or just being downright rude. And I didn't realize, oh wow, the things that you move towards or you want can actually be scary. So it is a place where it brings up your insecurities. That's why we always need to be on a journey of working through our healing and freedom. Always. I don't care how successful you are. I push back on what success actually is anyway. We think of success being in numbers. I see it more towards significant things, priorities. I see success as having a healthy marriage, working on that, being present as a father, and just helping people one at a time and what's in front of me versus chasing all these things. I'm not really into that. However, my message gets out there, and there becomes a level of where it hits me in waves where I'm like, whoa, as what it does for me is it can make me overthink. So like, even like the reporter asked me a question last week. I had a bunch of people processing out of stuff I said about the Charlie Kirk thing. It's like this pressure will want to come at me. And the thing that I remind myself of is, Mark, just keep doing what you're doing, keep being who you've always been, and just keep walking in that. And instead of like thinking, oh, I got to like up my game now because now I'm doing this. It's like, no, I'm just going to continue growing in how I'm growing and being who I am in that. And I think that that's the model that Jesus reflected. I think what the apostles showed is they would have exposure and the crowds would come, and then they would bless where they could, but then they would get away. Because they weren't driven by this thing to have to get their names out there or anything like that. In fact, the apostles would be like, no. They push back on the fame thing, which I think fame, it can be very deadly for us. We weren't made to be worshipped. That's very, very clear. But we're as humans, we have a tendency to idolize, worship, and I'm just using those terms loosely. We have a tendency to like look up to people. Like, there's people that look up to me, and I get that, and I'm sober about that. But I don't want to let fear grab a hold of it. And here's another part about, you're asking about fear of success. If you have a poor relationship with yourself, you can sabotage good things. You can. I've seen it happen, where you sabotage a good relationship. You push people away that really love you. You sabotage a good financial opportunity or a work opportunity because you don't have a healthy belief in yourself. And I use that term loosely. I don't mean like you believe in yourself apart from God. I'm talking about just the confidence of God. You're working in me, and I have what it takes in God to take those steps. So it is a thing, the fear of success. We want to be successful, but then if it starts to happen, many can backpedal, self-sabotage. There's a lot of unlovability within the hearts of people. I'm unlovable. I'm not worthy of being loved. And then they chase that down, and they live out of that. And I've had to realize that there's love available for me. There's good things available to me. It doesn't mean I then go into, I deserve it, entitlement. It leads me into saying yes and amen to love when it shows up. And when good things show up, there's been some, even recently, there's been some blessings I've experienced just relationally, and just some things my wife and I experienced. And I'm just grounded in gratitude. God, thank you. Thank you. This has been a long journey, a lot going on. Thank you. Thank you so much for these areas of breakthrough I've had in my life. So I feel like gratitude can help keep grounded, but be aware. Be aware that there are mindsets within us that will sabotage steps forward. I would call them limiting mindsets. That, because God is increasing our faith at each step. And we come up to a bridge and we go, oh, this is never going to work out, right? That's our sabotaging, self-preserving kind of activity, because we want to grow, but stepping out of the boat and walking on water can be very scary. And so that ties into the fear of success is actually the fear of living in what you actually prayed for, right? Oh, God,
good.
bring me a great spouse. And a great person comes in your life and you don't know how to handle love and you start acting goofy, right? God, give me a financial breakthrough, right? But then what living in that financial world of that, it's like, it's frightening because you don't know how to handle it. You don't know how to steward it. You don't know, So it's recognizing that we have a lot to learn and we have to continually face our fears in that. So I pray that's a help. My love, do you have anything in the super chat arena or any comments or anything that you want to make mention of?
Well, let me go over here. We had a couple people join the Heart Healing Overcomer
That's awesome.
community. Awesome. And then Eric, thank you for your super chat. He just wanted to get more of the, the little crown with the points.
Oh,
it's
that's
called
cool.
experience points. So
That's
it's
cool.
actually quite funny.
Very, very cool.
So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great comments. Everything you're bringing today is just awesome, babe. So
Awesome. Very, very good.
yes.
Okay. Let me get into some trenches here because I want to talk about some ROCD stuff. But this one, I'm going to respond to this because I think this is misunderstanding the battleground. So a gentleman wrote into me and said, my wife's friend. Oh, no, I'm sorry. My friend's wife. Let me get this straight. Okay. Sometimes I twist words when I'm reading them. My friend's wife. So this is a guy talking about his friend, and the friend is struggling with his wife. Okay. My friend's wife has been struggling with relationship OCD. Her obsessions have been centered on another man, and her compulsions have led her to having an emotional affair with him and towing the line for worse. Her husband has tried to be loving, gracious, and patient, but she keeps rejecting his advances and keeps distancing herself from him and moving towards the other man. With OCD in play, he doesn't feel like it's as clear-cut what to do. What would be your advice for him? There's the call to love unconditionally, but to what extent would her actions be too much for their marriage? So I'm only being given the information that's here. Okay? So you have to understand that's what I'm going by. But this is not OCD taking place. Okay? For a number of reasons. OCD, so like relationship OCD, would be you see someone attractive. It creates feelings in you. And the feelings create disturbance because you go, oh my goodness, that person's, a guy looks at a woman and go, oh my goodness, she's pretty. Maybe I like her. Maybe I should have married her. Oh, you start having intrusive thoughts and it creates distress. From what you're sharing, you're talking about the cultural use of the word obsession, meaning being infatuated or obsessively, like I'm obsessed over this video game, or I'm obsessed over this movie, or I'm obsessed over this guy. There's a longing to move. Now, OCD could be mixed in with this, but what you're telling me is someone who is having an emotional affair and is violating and having an environment of infidelity against her husband. Okay? And here's the part that sticks out to me. Her husband has tried to be loving, gracious, and patient. She's rejecting his advances and distances herself from him and is moving towards the other man. This is in my opinion is a misuse of ROCD in saying that's what it is. ROCD, you have disturbing emotions and you're scared or you feel conflicted. Or, oh my goodness, I feel this thing. Does that mean something? Maybe I'm going to do something, right? Let me take this example and use it in another arena. It'd be like me being with you and I have an intrusive thought to punch you in the face. I punch you in the face. I act on that thought. You go, oh my goodness, you punched me in the face. Don't punch me in the face. I punch you again. And then after that, I'm more angry and I keep punching and I keep punching. And you go, what are you doing? And everybody comes over and they start, and I go, I have OCD. It's a misunderstanding of OCD. This isn't compulsive behavior. This is impulsive behavior. This is lusting after someone, acting on it, and continuing to act on it. So, and I don't know why the husband isn't writing me, why you're writing for your friend that's married to her. But this is a very, very, it's misunderstanding how this works. Now, she may have OCD in areas of her life, but this pathway of acting, it kind of reminds me, different category, but many years ago, I was teaching at a church in Clinton. And I was teaching on the Father's love and forgiveness and rejection. And I was going there on a regular basis. And it's a whole workshop thing where we're working through forgiveness areas. It's a lot of stuff that's in my bitter-free material. And encouraging people to work on their forgiveness and stuff like that. Well, the pastor's wife, one of the pastors there, his wife was there. And so she's working on the forgiveness thing. Well, she decides that she's going to contact an ex-boyfriend and she's going to ask him for his forgiveness. And not a good move. Not a good move to do that. It's like, work that out with yourself. That's not a thing. Maybe in some rare scenario, if there's like an ex-spouse or something like that, things you got to like, you want to repair some things in marriage and stuff like that. But I'm not into this, like, call an ex, to while you're married, to like work something out. So she ended up contacting him, and then leaving her husband, leaving her marriage, and going and chasing this guy down. Okay, that's misrepresenting everything that I was trying to do. Needless to say, the pastor himself wasn't really thrilled with me and my teaching, even though I never directed that, never encouraged that. To have that happen to your life is incredibly, incredibly painful. And my heart goes out to him and what happened. However, it was a misuse of it. I feel like there's a misuse of this taking place here. It's not, this is, and I hope that those of you that have relationship OCD, you hear my heart, because for some of you, it'll freak you out going, see, maybe one of these days I'm going to act on it. I'm going to do one of these things. Nope. That's what OCD is. You have these thoughts. It creates disturbance. It creates a sense of fear. It's more than just a thought. It's more than just a struggle. She wants it. She's acting on it, and she's backing away from her spouse in it. So it's this whole emotional affair going on, and it's in violation of her marriage. So what you do from there, you're going to have to figure that out. So, okay, so that's one ditch that I want to bring out. This second one kind of goes into another area, but it's in a different direction where I gotta bring another nuance to this. Okay. So this is a lady writes to me, we've been so blessed by your content, bought and read your book after a crisis this year. I'm not sure what the crisis was, but my husband has been dealing with OCD for many years. As you well know, it is a difficult journey. For the first time in 18 years of marriage, his OCD has had a significant impact on me. This year, he compulsively confessed an attraction to another woman who is a friend of mine and guilt over having a long conversation with her. I've looked up all your content regarding attraction to help me to understand how the compulsive mindset reacts to these things, as this part has, and it feels like Pandora's box. As this part of OCD is all new to me. I'm sorry. I understand now that he probably shouldn't have said anything. However, he has, and it feels like Pandora's box has been opened. The weight that he put on the incident via the confessions has left me feeling incredibly insecure. His words still ringing in my ears and heart. This is very out of character for me, but it has completely knocked me for six. What does that mean? Knocked me for six?
I don't know. I've never heard that.
Is that like a boxing term? It means something not good, I'm sure. I've been able to understand the OCD thinking patterns through your material, but wonder if you have any advice for the spouses on the other end of it. How to separate their personality from the OCD. I'm really struggling to relate to him at this moment. Okay, so again, I'm just going by what's written here, but it seems to me like this is classic ROCD in the sense of one of your friends, he either finds her attractive in general, or maybe he, in a moment, like, oh, she looks beautiful or something like that. It will hit an OCDer, especially ROCDer, and it becomes catastrophized in them. That's why Melissa and I, we talk about this a lot, because I have to do this a lot with ROCDers, because they see someone else that's attractive that's not the person they're engaged to or dating or married to, and fire alarms go off inside of them. They catastrophize it. It wells up in them. They interpret this must mean something. That's why we talk often about it's okay to notice someone that's attractive. It's okay to notice it and let it just be that. But with OCDers, it wells up within you. It gets interpreted in a catastrophic way. Oh my goodness, maybe I'm in love with them. Maybe I've sinned. Maybe I've already sinned because I just had a thought. I just had a feel. I had a feeling going to all kinds of, I felt it in my body. I felt an urge. Oh no, what am I going to do? Right? So one of the things that they will do is this wells up within them so intensely, they will compulsively confess it. And if they, usually who they're going to confess it to is their spouse. And what OCDers have to recognize is you can do damage by your way you confess things or getting things off your chest. You have to just recognize that. Now, it's understandable if you battle this a lot, and your friend is around often and he's like, oh, uncomfortable and all these things. It's a sense of disturbance within him. He has an obsessive tendency when it comes to relating to the opposite sex, probably. So here's my take on this. You said this year he compulsively confessed an attraction to another woman who's a friend of mine and guilt over having a long conversation with her. I'm going to speculate that he just had you're at some gathering or she was at your house or whatever, and he just sat and talked with her. And I have a feeling, I could be wrong, write to me if I'm wrong, I feel like that was it. But in his mind, because they're often uncomfortable with the opposite sex, and so you can have this with the same sex too, these kind of thoughts. Anyways, it can go in all kinds of directions. He's catastrophizing it. He had a lengthy conversation. It was just a friendly conversation, and that's all it was. You're at a dinner party, you're at a gathering or something. They were there and just had a talk and talked about things. It would be concerning if he was talking about secret things in your marriage or sharing intimate details or saying inappropriate things, directly inappropriate things. Like, hey, we have some chemistry. We have, or joking. If I wasn't married to my wife, I could be married to you, Okay, that's inappropriate, right? I don't have a feeling that he did that. And again, I could be wrong. But what he has to realize is that sharing it with you, there's sometimes in marriages, if you understand OCD, you go, I get it. It's understandable. Relax. It's all right. Yeah, she's good looking. Take your piece and work through the awkwardness so you can practice not being feeding the anxiety. But there does come a point in time where oversharers, they actually do damage by sharing. They can do damage to the relationship. So I'm not saying that like he committed the unpardonable sin, he forever damaged your marriage, but he needs to soberly realize, okay, me getting this off my chest hurt my wife's heart and made her spin about. So my instruction is not first to you. My instruction is first to him. Sober up, buddy. Sober up. Realize that's your compulsion, and your compulsion does damage. It's just like if I say I have a thought to punch you, and if I keep telling you that, you may go, is he going to punch me at some moment? Right? We can understand OCD all day. I understand OCD all day. But even me, if I was around that in the right moment, in the right vulnerability, go, okay, like what's going on here? Right? Okay. You're feeding this thing too much. So,
hey, babe, the
yes.
knocked me for 6 is a cricket term. It's British for hitting the ball hard.
Okay. There we go.
Yes.
He knocked me for 6. Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
Emma said it, and then Lindsay said she Googled it. Yay! See, thank you guys.
So, okay. So anyways, I'm sharing two extremes here. One is the actual ROCD world, and one where, and I showed that question to you. It doesn't seem like that's what we're dealing with in that situation was OCD. Are you in the comments?
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I was talking
I'm
to you.
sorry, babe.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's fine.
I'm here. Ask me again.
No, I said it's interesting because those questions, one, I don't think we're talking about OCD.
Right.
We're talking about somebody that's not only, it's not thinking it, it's thinking it, doing it, acting on it, keep doing it. This is lifestyle. This is like,
Right.
But yet then over here, we have another one where he is probably, my best take is that he's having an interaction with her friend who he thinks is attractive and doesn't know how to just let that be, gets anxious,
Correct.
gets goofy, then told his wife, now his wife's spinning, and this
oversharing too.
Yes.
And just, yes. But the first one too is like, wait, there are bigger problems here that the friend.
the friend that's having
Like they have more problems than that. But yes, you're right. And they're great examples to show, like, no, this one is not OCD. She probably has a personality disorder and needs to probably get some kind of help.
Yeah, well,
and
it's like, me punching somebody and saying,
Right.
I have OCD. It's like, no, you punch somebody. You got to you got to you got to take responsibility for that.
Right.
So,
And the oversharing, it's like, you got to work that out and have a couple rough shares and go, okay, this is what the boundary is.
Yep.
And now you got to start working through it.
yep. And say, brother, you knocked me on my 6.
There you go.
I don't even know if I said that right.
No,
Yeah,
that's all right.
probably.
I don't know. I actually don't know. I thought you would take that as an opportunity to try to do a British accent. So.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So this one I can address briefly. I often feel like I'm the only one who struggles to believe in God's existence 100%. Let me just knock this myth out. No one on the planet is alone in their battle. Can we just establish that? There is not a battle in all of planet Earth where you are alone in it. There are thousands, if not millions of people that have the same battle that you have. But that's one of the things that holds people back and discourages them further, the loneliness of what they struggle with. It seems impossible for me to know with certainty that God exists and his son died for me because I don't have proof. So then you kind of go into that. I gotta get like this validation, but this gets into what's called the existential OCD. You're going to start like going into all these different questions that just cannot be answered. You have this deep fear of hell because you don't believe enough. That's scrupulosity. That's religious OCD. That's what it does. And you are definitely not alone. Look at all the subscribers to my channel and my work. There's many that have same battles. Okay, this question is about 2 options I'm being given. Hey, Mark, should we pray to be delivered from OCD, or do we accept this is how our brains are wired and that it is a thorn in the flesh type of situation? Well, first of all, if you categorize something as a thorn in the flesh, there's no biblical evidence that Paul didn't keep asking in his journey for prayer or work. Jesus was teaching how to relate to weakness in a very profound way, our relationship to weakness. So, should I pray to be delivered or accept that I got some goofy stuff in my brain? It's both. You start with acceptance and always keep believing. Don't stop believing. Always believing that more growth can happen, more stretching can happen. So I'll give you an example. I have hearing issues. I'll never stop believing God could heal my hearing. But I have to accept that this is where I'm at right now. So with OCD and perfectionism, we're very black and white. We're very all or nothing. We don't know how to live with 2 thoughts simultaneously. And if many of you can understand how to do that 2 things can be true at the same time, that two perspectives can be there at the same time, you can become a much healthier person, a much more mature person. But everything starts with loving acceptance, because loving acceptance accepts where I'm at right now. This is where I'm at right now. I got stuff in my mind, whether it's wiring or whether it's this. People get into wiring and chemical imbalance, and Many of those theories have a lot of holes in them anyway. But when it comes to mental health, especially, it's scientifically proven that your brain function can be improved. Your brain is plastic. There's a plasticity to it. I don't mean that literally. It's like made of plastic. There's a plasticity in that it has the ability to stretch, flex, renew, and to use your term, wiring, to rewire. But what I want to do is stop this incessant self-help, fixing yourself, and you're bypassing love. You're bypassing love. So there's a sense of both, in the sense that I lovingly accept this is where I'm at, but I'll continue to pray, God, bring freedom, help me to learn, help me to grow. May who Mark is today be different than who Mark was yesterday. That the upgraded Mark will keep showing up. That the old is gone, the new would continue to show up, and I keep growing in that. And so I apply that to every area of my life. I accept what is, but continue to believe for more. But I'm living in that loving acceptance so that I don't put that pressure on people or that expectation. God, you got to do this right now. You got to do this right now. Instead, God, this is what I pray for. This is what I ask. But yet I keep living, and I live in that loving acceptance. And so that, you said I can't help but still pray for deliverance while starving compulsions, taking care of myself. Yeah, absolutely. Especially when I hear of the Lord healing people from physical maladies like cancer. Well, when it comes to mental health, though, what's your definition of deliverance? Being, boom, all of a sudden, you start thinking differently. And all of a sudden, you just start having more hope. And all of a sudden, that's not how it works. Because God has given you the ability to set your compass to choose. He's not going to override your ability to choose. So right now, I could choose to walk in faith, hope, and love, or I could choose to just be angry. I could choose to beat myself up. I could choose. All kinds of things are at my disposal for choice, right? So when you think deliverance to your mental health battlegrounds, this isn't like something just gets taken off of you. You have to learn how to think. You have to learn how to relate to your emotions. You have to learn how to interpret what you're feeling in renewed ways. That's all of our discipleship journey. So I do want to say, keep praying for healing and freedom and breakthrough, but it's never going to be without your work, in the sense of your participation. God is not going to just give you a brain that, like, take your brain out, put a new brain in, and it just does everything for you. That's what a lot of God deliver me actually is. I need you to just put peace in me so I feel better and just get rid of all these thoughts I have. And it just doesn't work that way. Because if God answers the prayer in that way, you are now officially a robot. You are now a puppet, and you are now being held by puppet strings, and you are now being controlled by God. You don't have any choice. You have no participation in the matter. So that, you see, we were created relational beings to choose. Even in the beginning, Adam and Eve, hey, they had one scripture. Don't eat of this tree, right? So even within the beauty and the innocence of freedom that Adam and Eve lived in, there was still a choice. So beware of asking these take this off me kind of prayers, deliver me, as though I'm going to wake up and just feel something. No, I'm going to cultivate peace. I have peace within me. It's a fruit of the Spirit. The Spirit's within me. I'm going to cultivate peace. I'm going to develop peace. I'm going to activate peace. I'm going to live in it. I'm going to guard it, because peace of God guards my heart. I'm going to live in love. I'm going to choose love. I'm going to walk in love. I'm going to say yes to love. I'm going to build my hope. All those foundational aspects of my walk. And when you build that, it becomes a part of you, becomes who you are. So just want to help you to understand that. Here's another question on someone who's in seminary. My question has to do with studies in relation to OCD. As I've mentioned in my previous email, I go to seminary, but I have had struggles with religious OCD for a long time, but way before my seminary days. But I've noticed it's gotten way worse since attending ceremony. Okay, I'm going to tell you, and I'll explain more in a minute. I don't think that's a bad thing. Okay, hold on. It isn't hard to figure out why you can't find a better place than seminary to give fuel for religious OCD. Here, I am not only hit with information overload, totally, which alone can cause anxiety and spinning, but in the context of seminary, all the information I'm hit with has insanely high stakes. It seems everything I study, every class, every book gives me ammunition to doubt something. Everyone disagrees on what a healthy relationship with God looks like, as well as what being a true Christian looks like. Yeah, and I get this. And even me in my study and my research, I get overwhelmed. I'll look at a topic, I'll look at a subject, and I see the neurotic, perfectionistic, I'm right and you're wrong, the strife that goes on. It's like, oh my goodness, like, chill out, people. Can we have reasonable conversations? You know, somebody will have a little nuanced doctrinal area, and not like a main doctrine, little doctrinal area. And if you don't agree with it, you're a false teacher. It's like, we're whipping out false teacher like candy. It's just like, it's almost like not making it have its meaning anymore because of how much it gets thrown. Okay. Anyways, I get what you're saying, because in seminary, in Bible school, or in college, there's a testing of your, there's a lot of stress, there's studies, and there's a lot of challenging to what you believe. So this is actually a really good opportunity for you to practice self-compassion like never before. 1. And number 2, graciously recognize, okay, this is my sharpening zone. Because as I move forward, I'm going to kind of learn, like, what is it I believe? So I practice this every day. I'm getting more and more secure in who I am and what I believe. And I think even talking about many of the questions that come to my email box from the question page, and just practicing that when you have like contrarians and this person thinks that, and when you get into mental health, oh my goodness, the opinions are everywhere. You got the, this, and I got the cure, and if you just do this, and no, you don't know what you're talking about, and then all this stuff going on, right? So I see what you're going through as a good thing. Your OCD is getting worse. Sometimes it gets worse before it gets better. Don't see an uptick or a triggering of anxiety as being a bad thing. See it as your opportunity to work through another layer, but be compassionate to yourself in this. And because the self-pressure is going to make it worse versus seeing it as like an adventure. Okay, I'm taking in, but one thing I would do is I would remind myself, nope, the stakes are not that high in this. Nope. Because OCDers and perfectionists will really put a lot of weight. No, I got to get this. I got to get this scripture on, this doctrine or this. I got to get that right. Meanwhile, there's like 700 different opinions, and they all think they're right. And many of them think the other people are going to hell because they don't see that exact thing. And again, I'm not talking about like the Bible is the word of God. Jesus is who he is, that he died on the cross for our sins. He's the Savior. I'm talking about these little nuanced things about the end times or, whatever, Bible translations and all that stuff. But you're going to get a good sense of it. You're going to get a good sense of where a lot of doubting is, and see that as like, hey, there is a lot of doubting that goes on. And maybe it'll help you have a new relationship with your doubts. She said, when one gets down to it, I'm not sure if there is much anyone agrees on. Oh, it's so true. The Bible already leaves me confused as it is, and almost everyone teaching the Bible leaves me more confused. I'll tell you what concerns me. When a teacher acts like they have an answer to everything, and don't have a sense of mystery or a sense of doubt or a sense of like, I don't know, I'm still learning myself too. To me, that's a bit of a flag. It doesn't mean I won't listen to them. It's just like, I don't know how much I'm going to take input from them, because there's a humility that's needed in this journey. We really need that. Many people here talk about being deceived by false religion. And by definition, if I'm deceived, then I do not know I'm deceived. If I do not know that I'm deceived, then I cannot know that I'm deceived. That sounds a little bit Dr. Seussy in there. Thus more confusion. Everyone disagrees and contradicts each other. I'm left wondering, is it possible to know I am faithful to the real God, or even belong to him? Thanks to your material, I'm learning to control my emotions and not give in to despair and anxiety when I'm overwhelmed. But it gets difficult. I feel as if I can never settle down in my life on a sure foundation because of this constant confusion. I would love some of your wisdom on how to approach seminary with a sober mind. I would say guard who you share your heart with. The deeper, struggles that you have. Don't just share that with everybody. but learn how to have these dialogues that they have in class or whatever without it getting too emotionally wrapped up. You have to learn to tether your emotions, because we can get emotional. Once we get too emotional into something, we get too wrapped in it, and then we're lost and we're spiraling. So seminary is, I think, a good thing for you in this, of practicing and learning on what you believe as you're going through it. Don't walk through this feeding the fear of being deceived. If that's our main focus, we're going to hesitate all the way. We'll never embrace anything. It's okay to go, this is what I believe, but I'm open to enhancing what I believe as it's made known to me over time. And I give myself permission for that in my own journey as well too. So I pray this was helpful for y'all. And do you have anything, my love, before we go? We're going to wrap this up.
Just one.
All right, go for it.
From Rock Goju. Hi, Mark. I'm struggling with OCD equivocation. It's like taking things that make perfect sense and interpreting them in wild ways, in ways that weren't even meant. Any tips? I want to say maybe they even put an example, but I don't know if I can find it in here.
So
Does that make sense to you?
So it's like something that's common sense, but I'll spin it out into something that's...
Okay, hold on. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Like an example is, say someone said that sports team demolished the other team. And then I'm spiraling. I know what it means that they actually didn't eviscerate them, but rather than beat them really bad. Hope that makes sense.
It sounds like he's nitpicking on words.
Nitpicking words. Yeah.
My feedback is awareness, of being aware that you have that tendency. So to not feed it. So like,
I would wonder too, did you grow up in a house that was like very dramatic, over the top?
Or nitpicky.
Yeah. And you're like, no, what it is. And maybe, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like I can have that around like making sure I say things right. Like I can look at my words like too heavily. And so then, and so then in conversation, I can be like, no, that doesn't mean that, I can like, I'd have a tendency to autocorrect somebody.
Right.
Or even in conversations, like bringing a nitpicky correction to something, I'm trying to think of an example.
I know.
But like maybe somebody's just expressing, oh, I hate when this happens. Don't say.
Well, you don't hate them.
Yeah, you don't hate.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
That may not be the best example, but even more like picking on the word, because a lot of times when people express like the demolish, we live in a world where we use very intense, provocative,
hyperbolic language. Yeah, we do. I do sometimes. Listen. I like to add a little salt and pepper to things. Yep. Okay. I like a little drama.
Get a little
I grew up with a lot of drama, so I love it.
Little drama going on. We got a little
drama.
Little Bronx beat.
Gosh, I love that. That's when it was funny.
Yeah. Yeah. The SNL skit with I think it was Amy Poehler and I forget who the other person was. And that's why I said if you did a talk show, it would be like that.
Totally. Yeah. Rakoju says it's like things being hyper literalized. Yeah. I did grow up like that too. I need X. No, you don't need X. You want X. Right.
Yes. Right.
Totally get it.
Be aware that you have a tendency to do that.
Yeah.
So you kind of catch yourself, that disturbance rises up and just let what they said float through without having to bring correction. Because that is a compulsive activity. Yeah. Yeah. It's good. All right, my love. This was great.
It was.
Lord willing, the creek don't rise. We'll be back Sunday, right?
We will.
Yeah. All right. We'll do this again. I'm hungry. We need to have some dinner.
Me too.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Lord willing and the creek don't rise. This is your brother from another mother.
And your sister from another mister.
Saying we'll be back with more insights for your healing and freedom journey. But in the meantime,
we out.